Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Kristin and Tina. Welcome to Coffee with Kristin and Tina. We're your hosts. I'm Tina Prigge of Vagabond Creative Studio. This is Kristin Odell of KLO. Good morning, Kristin. It is so good to see you.
Good morning. It's good to see you too.
I'm drinking out of a Japan mug today, my little Olympic hangover yet.
I like it. I have my Love Never Fails cup, and this is only because this is a nice big cup for today. I felt like I wanted to make sure I had coffee for the entire show.
What does it say that we both have like the hugest coffee mugs this morning?
And they're complementary colors.
Yes. Totally random, not pre-planned. Great minds think alike.
We're feeling the vibe.
Yes, we are.
Hey, tell me about this very sea-inspired necklace you have on today.
Oh, thanks. So for a number of years when my son was small, we'd go to Florida with my parents. And this is one of the treasures that my mom found and gifted me. And I just love it. I love like the starfish and the coral, and there's some other shells. In a past life, I was a scuba diver and snorkeler. And so.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Let's just pause for a moment and talk about Tina, the scuba diver.
Scuba diving is amazing. I love being underwater in that capacity where you don't have to keep bobbing back up for breath. When you really get to be underwater, it's an amazing world. And when you see all of the life that's happening, like if you just look out at a lake or if you look out at the ocean, you see beautiful waves and colors, but it's not until you really go down that you see everything that's under there. And it blows my mind. And so I love it.
When was the last time you scuba dived?
Oh, it's been a long time. Maybe 20 years.
Will you do it again?
I would love to. My husband doesn't love that experience though. And it's not terribly fun to just do it by yourself. And I don't love doing it in Lake Michigan. As cool as that is, it's cold. You have to really suit up, all of that. I'd much rather be someplace warm and tropical.
So it turns out I have only scuba dived in a pool, but I love snorkeling and being able to dive and come up. And my husband does not enjoy it either. So perhaps this is a future girls trip.
Kristin, I love it. That would be amazing. It would be amazing. Really cool. Yeah.
Where is the coolest place that you have ever scuba dived?
Oh my gosh, Micronesia in Palau. It was amazing. It's like this confluence of like the Australian current and one or two other currents. So the coral is really healthy. And so because the coral is healthy, there are all of these tiny fish life. And because there's all the tiny fish life, it progressively grows bigger and bigger. So diving there, you see everything from like the smallest anemone to, I remember screaming underwater into my regulator because there were sharks, like a bunch of them,
Sharks is the reason why Doug would never do this.
Apparently these were just like reef sharks. And so they're technically more afraid of you than you are of them, is what the guide told me. Allegedly, right. I still kept my distance. And what's interesting is on one of those dives, it was like a drift dive. So the drift was so strong, you would just like kind of maintain your balance and it would pull you along as you went past this amazing wall of corals and whatnot. But I got too close, and one of the corals was called like a fire coral. I know there's a more scientific name, but fire coral is what the guide called it. And it just stung my leg. Like it's just a tiny little, I don't know, like a pea size. And still to this day, at least once a year, it will kind of erupt. Isn't that weird? So like I have this permanent memory of.
So I think when you guys, just for context, when Tina and I kayaked last year, her coral burn was erupting at that particular time. You remember this? Now that you're saying this, it totally is coming back to me.
You know what? I should really keep track because it's about a year then, right? So I don't know if it's the temperature. I don't know,
but I do remember the coral bite disruption in your knee.
What is this? What's this? Let's see. Matt says, ask Audrey about our snorkeling trip on our honeymoon.
oh, come on, Matt, you got to give us more than that. I'm not going to get to be able to talk to Audrey till later. You got to tell us.
We need details, Matt. First of all, where was the honeymoon?
Yeah.
Was it a good snorkeling experience when you say ask her about it? Or was it like somebody else I know on their honeymoon where by the time the boat stopped, before they got to snorkel, they were already vomiting off the side of the boat?
Yeah, on Doug and I's honeymoon, we did a catamaran snorkeling trip, and Doug had 2 of the flotation devices on because he dislikes deep water that much. And, they are like, you can't put your feet on the coral.
Right.
Or on the bottom. So like, this is the coral and here are his feet. And because of this, he already can't balance and he's panicking. He's like, and then he was like, I'm done.
Oh,
and I'm
no.
like, hey, wait a second. I cannot snorkel. We're in Maui, Hawaii, in this bay by myself. You're supposed to have a partner. So he's like, I'll watch you from the boat and make sure you're okay. So he got up on the boat and had a variety of cocktails and relaxed. And I snorkeled. Now, I did get to see a sea turtle that I feel like was like, this big in the water, which was really cool. But
yeah, it's so magical.
Yeah, it was really good. Okay, so Matt said St. John's in the Virgin Islands, and it was a seabed of urchins and barracuda.
Oh.
Ooh, barracuda.
Oh no, sea urchins are so spiky. Hopefully it was just a fear factor and not that anything
I'm
stung
gonna have to get a scoop on this.
Yeah, Matt, where's Audrey right now? Can you have her log in?
Put her on. Let's put her on.
Anyway, Kristin, I would love to snorkel and or scuba dive with you. That would be fantastic.
All right. It's a girls' trip.
Sounds good. So what else is going on?
Well, let's see. What else? I'm trying to think what else I sent you. So there's been a lot going on. We're going to be we're going to speak some truth from Chris and Odell today.
Yes.
So, Tina, you have this meme that I sent you. I think I stole this from Patty or maybe Sarah Loberg, but here's my meme for this week. It says, "Where is my Oscar for acting like everything is fine?" How often do we say this, people? Everything's fine. I'm fine. You're fine. Everything's fine. The kids are fine. And then it's only fine for so long until it's not fine anymore. And so this is kind of the point that I reached last week. I, obviously have business and kiddos and coordinating babysitters and a few contractors at our house and coaching softball and being on the board for places and all things. And it all caught up to me last week. And what I really love, this is why I love my husband. He knows me well. At one point during the week last week, he said, "How do you know, Kristin, when your plate is full and you can't take on anything else?"
Oh, good question.
And I was like, dang it. He's asking me that because he knows already that I'm overloaded and I don't want to admit it yet. But I had to.
Yeah, I love that he's helping. You know what I mean? That he's trying to help you find a place where you don't need an Oscar for acting, right? Because you just truly are fine. So what happened? Were you able to assess what was on your plate and make some decisions?
Well, so there was kind of like this point, where we're like, I'm fine. Everything's fine. I'm getting it all done. And then you realize, like last week, for example, because we had some last softball games that went late into the evenings and different things, like I wasn't going to the gym in the morning, which is a great way for me to burn stress off in the morning. Like I'm such a much more calm person. So I wasn't doing that because I was exhausted, and I was exhausted because I was doing these 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. days, like just literally nonstop straight through. And so I just said, okay, first of all, yes, I'm going to make some decisions about where I spend my time, which was really valuable. And this even goes like a year out looking ahead. Like I've got to make some changes so we don't get to this point next year. And then the other thing was I was at the point where my stomach was starting to get upset from just carrying the stress. I'm like, okay, when I'm starting to have a physical response to this, I really need to start paying attention. So we fortunately had a camping trip booked to go to Shawano County Park, and we were going to leave after work on Wednesday. And so I just said to Doug, we're going to go, we're going to relax on the beach. I'm going to read, crawl into bed early and get good nights of sleep. Like I'm going to read my book and just do things that I know are good. Go for a walk, go for a bike ride. And so we took 4 days to just literally do whatever we wanted to do. And by like the third day, I said to him, I woke up, I'm like, I feel normal again. Like I'm back, and he can tell the difference, obviously, because either I'm like my smiley self or I'm like super, everything in my brain is churning and then I get quiet, even though I don't realize I'm quiet. He knows.
Right.
So it was a really good thing to be able to kind of go away. Like, because the other thing that's beautiful about camping is once you're there, like you have to relax. There's none of the home stuff there. So and
you're with your favorite people in the world, right?
We were with Doug and the girls. My mom was there. A bunch of my aunts and uncles were there. And so it was just really, really nice to sneak away. And then obviously come back, first of all, refreshed. I re-hit my gym schedule this week. I'm like, this is not a negotiable. This gives me energy. This doesn't take energy away. And then, like I said, we're continuing to kind of resort priorities. And so
you're such a good role model, Kristin. It's so important to realize when you're overcommitted, right? And it's okay to, if you make that assessment, to say, okay, I have to cut this out. I have to decline this, right? To really set your priorities that work for you. Right. Because A, it's not good for you to feel like that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Doug could tell because he brought something up. So he was concerned or interested in bringing back the Kristin that he knows and loves, right?
Right.
And so what a good way to handle it too. And can I just show this picture of you guys hanging out on the boat that you shared?
Yes, please.
Oh, that just makes me relaxed looking at it.
Right. So this is my aunt and uncle's beautiful pontoon boat. They towed it to Shauna Lake so we could relax on the lake together. And yeah, 2 days we did this, cruised around Shauna Lake, took in some sun, which, fills me up, charges my solar panels, that vitamin D, you just can't deny how good that feels. But yeah, you can see Nora's on the left, kind of sitting on my lap, looking over the edge. And Josie is passed out sleeping on Doug's lap on the right. And I love it. It was so relaxing and such a good way to not only have some really good conversation and kind of reevaluate coming back in what it was going to do, but like I said, just recharge the batteries.
Yeah. Recharge, reset, start fresh.
Right.
Just want to say good morning to Stephen from Fond du Lac.
Hi, Stephen. Good morning.
And just a little post dig here from Jason about the fire coral. Every year he has to hear me complain about, oh my gosh, it's erupting again.
I'm sure he would like to say, like, well, Tina, if you would have just gotten out of the water and, vomited over the edge of the boat, it would have been fine, right?
Nobody said it was him vomiting.
True. That is true. Making an assumption.
So it is really important, I think, and going out on a boat, on a lake, that might not be how everybody resets. It's, right. Personally, individually, what does it for you? What allows you to unplug and, like Kristin said, recharge your batteries? Is it the sun on your solar panels? Is it reading a book? Is it, jogging 5 miles? There's something that really makes you tick. That's not your job. That's not the stress in your life. Make sure you make time to do that is what I would recommend. Right.
Yeah. And so for those of you watching, I would love to hear what things you do to kind of unwind or, when you reach that point. Like, so if we go back to Clifton Strengths, I have Achiever, and there's this stamina and the I can get it done portion of Achiever that I love. Like, that's what makes me who I am. But that also doesn't mean there's still times where I will overcommit and say, yeah, I have said yes too much. So yeah, tell us more. Oh my goodness. Go ahead, Tina.
Oh, so Stephen said that he just saw that the Badger will be suspending their voyage after today because a crew member tested positive for COVID. I had not heard that. Oh.
That's a bummer. Stephen, thank you for sharing. That's a really big bummer because I think the shoreline cruise was supposed to be today.
Oh, in the middle of the week? Interesting.
Where they come in and they do the lakeshore cruise and dang, that's a bummer.
I had no idea. It does seem like things are ramping up again. And so just everybody take care out there, stay safe, stay healthy. let's get through this so we can keep, having these awesome conversations
Right.
and living life.
I'll be here no matter what happens.
Oh, that makes me so sad to know that. Well, we're talking about, like, Kristin, I love how Doug knows you and he supports you and like calls you out when it's time to take a break. I just have to give a shout out to Jason, who I love, to the moon and back. This is my favorite human being, and he does that same thing, right? Like, we were at the farmer's market and he knows I love the fresh flowers. But a lot of times I just can't justify the expense, like in my mind, there's not like a definite ROI, right? Like if I buy the flowers, it's just beautiful and it makes me happy. But like a lot of times I won't do it for myself. And so this is him doing it for me because he knows how much I enjoy it. And I just love that so much about him.
That is so beautiful. Can you just put that picture up again? Let's just take a moment to look at all those beautiful colors that are in that bouquet.
It's amazing. I would love to know what kind of flowers those are. I don't know if there's zinnia. I'm just totally guessing.
I am not your flower girl. I have no idea. But they are beautiful. And I love that Jason does this for you. So does he have, like, is this just I'm going to make my wife happy move? Does he justify this in a different way? Jason, maybe if you're on the show, you can comment again, but
well, I'm sure too, part of it, like you were saying, and I know he thinks this way too, is that it's supporting another small business, the vendors at the farmer's market. Like if you look at these flowers and all the flowers back there, those don't just happen, right? Like somebody had to grow them. Somebody had to, collect them and assemble them in a beautiful arrangement, so it's worth supporting that kind of effort.
Right. And I think it's, when I think about when you use the word ROI as it pertains to flowers at the farmer's market, that's such a business thing.
I know.
Happy makes me happy. I love it, Jason.
Yeah, and I think happiness doesn't really have an ROI, right? Like how can you can't really associate or quantify happiness. It's just so worth it in and of itself. And I love that he recognizes that and he really knows how to go get that in a way that I'll often deny myself.
For sure. I think we all do that, don't you think? Like that self-sacrifice. Yeah, I mean, I think, just using flowers as the example, right? Like we could spend $10 in so many ways, right?
Yeah.
And this could be, I'm not going to eat lunch out one day this week, right? Or I'm trying to think of another good example. I mean, there's so many different ways, right? And so the whole concept of Jason saying, you know what, this $10 is worth it. First of all, because it's really going to make Tina happy. And I know she's going to enjoy this over the next week or two for however long. I mean, those are fresh cut flowers. So sometimes they last a really long time. And then the second part of it is, we're helping these amazing individuals who have stands at the farmer's market and are growing them and have to cut them and harvest and all the work that goes into it. I just really love the idea that we're supporting two people in two completely different ways, but making both of them happy.
Yeah, it's true. And there's nothing like a fresh bouquet of flowers like on the countertop or on the table that you pass every day or see, and you can't help but feel a little moment of happiness when you see that.
Right.
So it's like the happiness that keeps on giving. Jason, you are so right. Life is too short to deny the simple pleasures.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. I love it. So let me ask you a question as it pertains to flowers.
Yes.
Flowers always reach a point where they're not flowers anymore. They are dead, sad, limpy plants, sometimes that are stinky in the vase.
Mm.
Who has the responsibility of emptying the vase in your house?
Oh, that's me. I do that.
At our house, it ends up being me as well. And I always think it's so funny how like the Doug and the kids, they'll all walk by and see the flowers are dead, but nobody volunteers to do it. I always end up doing it.
I wonder if it's because they don't want to get it wrong,
Throwing out.
Like that they've done it too soon or something. Like, no, I was saving those, or
I still wanted them.
Raisa said we had all farmers market flowers at her wedding. Beautiful and a great way to support local. Oh, that is a great idea.
Yes. Yeah, Raisa, your flowers were beautiful. They were stunning. I think that's actually a really fabulous idea. Not that I don't love our local flower shops because they also do an amazing job, but yeah, if you have time and on the day of your wedding to like run down or have somebody run down and pick up fresh flowers and those, I mean, they're already bouqueted in such a beautiful way. Like,
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, it doesn't take any time. There's no waiting. It's, yeah, quite beautiful. So, Raisa, I'm thinking that means you must have had a summer wedding if there were flowers available.
She did. It was in August. Their anniversary is coming.
Nice. Talking about flowers, I just have to put a quick shout out to the flower gallery. So we had, there was a funeral and I sent flowers and I arranged it through the flower gallery, just based on the online choices. But when I saw them in person, I was so impressed and I was like, oh my God, wow, I love them. They're really beautiful. And I was so thankful and happy for the job that they did.
Very nice. I know that's always nice to hear kind of that admiration. Like when you order something online or over the phone, you sometimes don't know what it's going to be like. And so, yeah, for you to get there and be like, oh my gosh, it's as good as it is good or is better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. They really did an awesome job. Hey, speaking of awesome job, I just have to shift topics here a little bit. I don't know if you guys have seen this big print alley that some local artists put up. It's an alley. You can see the courthouse in the back. So it's on Washington Street, in between Big Brothers Big Sisters and Beacon Consulting. So these artists, under the guidance of Beryl Lutsky at UW Green Bay Manitowoc campus, did a really big print art project. So first of all, they carved the design into some wood. Then they took the paper and the ink and laid it out on the street and rolled over it with a steamroller to make the prints that you see. And so then the prints are wheat pasted to this brick wall, and there's even some little benches in the alley, and they made this little pop-up art gallery.
It's so cute. You can see your little red Jeep in the back.
And this handsome devil in the photo with me, that's my little brother. That's my brother John. He was in town just for a night. He is heading to Germany. So
wow.
Yeah, I got to see him before you leave.
I feel like you guys have the same eyes, like shape eyes.
I think so.
Eyes, but oh, how nice for you to get time with him and be able to check that out.
Yeah, I was super happy to show him, look at how cool your hometown is.
Okay, so I have seen Jill post about that. If they want to get information, is there a place that they can go to find out like images of how this was done?
Oh, that's a really good question. On Facebook, I'm not sure if the Lakeshore Artists Guild maybe has photos about it. Right. Sure. Or if you're connected with Jill Iverson, she was really good about documenting the process. I'm sure there must be. I'm just not aware of what that is.
Sure. And do you know how long it's going to be up? So if people want to get down there, is there a time frame?
Yeah, I think that it's temporary, unfortunately. I would love, this is so cool and so urban and unique. I would love to see this permanent, but I think it's temporary. And I hope that it lasted through the rain. I mean, it's possible it's not even there today. I don't know.
Oh, that's a good point. Like, I wonder what kind of paper it is. Like, handle. I mean, it is protected because it's in an alley. There is some protection, but yeah, oh my gosh. That's so interesting. I wasn't thinking about that.
Yeah, but I would love, if the city could just embrace dedicating this to art. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Right. I wonder if you could this is my simple craft brain. Glue them to the walls, like epoxy them onto the wall. Do you know what I mean? Like
shellac them, right?
them onto is that a thing?
Yeah. I think it just needs like a protective covering or a coating, right? Like a clear gloss.
Right.
I don't know.
I don't either. My aunt and uncle were just here visiting. They live out in Kansas. They came up. I
met them.
Yeah, week and a half. They got to meet Jason and Tina and stop in the gallery there, which I love. I think that's so cool. But my aunt said they had not been here for sure 3 years. I think it was 3 years. And they were so shocked at just the amount of art and murals and the things around town. Like they just said it just like brought the city to life. And she said, even going back years, so my uncle is originally from Manitowoc. She said, when they traveled to Manitowoc 30, 40, 50 years ago, she said it was gray. Like she described it as like a manufacturing town and everything was kind of gray and drab. And I think we're probably as much of a manufacturing town now as we were then. I mean, there's so many incredible things happening, But she said there's like this vivid color and these pictures and things to look at all over the place, everywhere you go.
Kristin, first of all, I have to say, I loved your aunt and uncle. I got to meet them and they were delightful. I just was so happy to know them. And I am so interested to hear that that was her description, because I've always described it that way to like Jason or like other people. Like, my memories from like my high school years and all that, they were always like in black and white. And it was kind of like the Wizard of Oz, right? When I came back, all of a sudden it was like, I had arrived in the land of munchkins. Everything was colorful and beautiful. And it was like, what? This is awesome. Right. But then I thought, did I just kind of make that up? Was it just like a kid's filter? So I'm kind of really happy to hear that that was somebody else's take on it too.
Right. I mean, I just think about, and I would agree with you, growing up, there's so many beautiful brick buildings around town, and then manufacturing tends to be kind of gray or brown, and I just, even some of the local businesses, are doing more different colors and different color schemes. And so we have these kind of pops of color everywhere, and it's fun.
Yeah. Well, it's really nice to see that the city is invested too in beautifying, with all of the hanging flower baskets and the flowers and the trees that are planted along the downtown streets. It's just gorgeous, and it makes it inviting, and it makes people want to be there and people want to visit.
Yes. I don't know if I mentioned this on another show, but a friend of ours that lives over in Oshkosh, I think we talked about this last week, said like they're hearing rumors about the wharf in the downtown. And like, oh, have you been over to Manitowoc yet? And I thought, yeah.
Excellent.
It's about time.
Right. Unlike one time I remember I was in Oshkosh and I had to figure out, how to find the road to get back to Manitowoc. And I stopped into like a convenience store. I'm like, hey, which road goes to Manitowoc? They're like, what now? Where? Who? I was like, oh no. But so this was a long time ago. So I'm really happy to hear. Yeah.
One of the murals that we were just admiring, I know you've taken pictures of this before, is the Red Arrow mural that's on the side of the old vinegar plant by Lates. We went there last weekend with some friends for breakfast, and the kids played in the park, and the friend we were with, actually it was Audrey, it's Matt's wife. She's like, has that always been there? And it's probably been there, 4 or 5 years now? I'm like, yeah, it's been there a while. But what I really love about that is it's like the coolest painting from far away. But when you get close, you can see like what it took on each individual brick to get it to be big. And I just like, that's one of those that I just look at it and think there's so much depth to that picture. But yet when you get close, you kind of, it's like a puzzle.
Yeah. It's amazing to think of how the artists were able to visualize that, right? Because an artist is only so big, right? And the brushes can only be so big. So yeah, they have to attack it like little by little. But so to know that what they're doing on this brick is going to contribute to that, the whole feeling. And yeah, that mural specifically has like a certain feel, like he's kind of like looking out towards the lake. There's just like that distant look in his eye. It just gives you a certain feeling.
Well, and there's like shading, on that picture that I think makes it really kind of come alive. So go check it out. Look at it close and far away.
Yeah, love it. That's such a great point. Hey, Kristin, with what we do, being entrepreneurs, we have different experiences all the time. Yesterday, I got to go to the top of one of the Brees malting buildings. And so it was a foggy day. You can see the courthouse in the fog, but see that tiny little arrow? Apparently, at the top of this building is a peregrine Falcon Nest, and that's the falcon flying around. And so I was like, okay, I probably shouldn't be here too long, but it was amazing to get that view and to know that. And then what we found out is this is an image of the Falcon live cam. So on top of Brees, there's a Falcon live cam. There's not always activity because the falcon's not always in the nest, but when he is, or when there's eggs, like in the spring, you can totally check it out. And I'm going to put up what that website is. You can also just Google Brees Falcon Cam, but this is the exact link to get you there too.
That is so cool. Can you go back to the picture that you took yesterday? So it's such a bummer. It was foggy yesterday, but I mean, you can kind of see like the courthouse on the right. I think that's First German Church kind of straight ahead. Like what a cool opportunity for you to kind of get up that high and be able to see over the downtown.
Yeah, I totally agree. And to discover that there's a falcon, you know what I mean? How cool is that?
Yeah, I have heard that before, but I don't know, for some reason it hasn't processed in my brain. So now I'm gonna go and check out the cam and see if I can show the girls this falcon. It sounds so cool.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that it was ongoing. I think I thought when I heard about it the last time that it was maybe this blip in time,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. So you guys, that picture of the Falcon Nest, I just went to the site and snapped that quick before the show just so we could see what it looked like. But it's really cool when you go there, you hit play, and it's basically a live feed of the Falcon Nest. So go check it out.
Yeah, definitely do. Oh, and let's see what Kay says here. With all the new artwork and downtown improvements, feels like I'm seeing Manitowoc for the first time, yet I've lived in Manitowoc County my whole life. 3 cheers for Manitowoc. Absolutely.
Feels like the first time. I know that's maybe not the appropriate song, but
Sing it, sister.
feels like the very first time. Okay.
All right. Next week on Coffee with Kristin and Tina, it's karaoke.
I just feel you only can break into song when it feels inspired. I would not be good at karaoke. Would not enjoy that.
Well, I definitely have enjoyed this conversation. This has been so much fun. You guys, a half an hour has just whizzed by. Thank you so much for sharing your Tuesday morning with us. We will look forward. Oh, I think Millie's letting you know it's time to wrap up.
Time to wrap up.
We will see you all next time on Coffee with Kristin and Tina.
Bye, guys. Have a great week.
Bye.